Today's episode is sponsored by our friends at EGS Expert Grading Services, introducing new slabs along with custom labels, shipping nationwide, and our friends at Famous Faces and Funnies, located in Melbourne, Florida. Check out their Facebook Live auctions, shipping nationwide. Hello and welcome to another exciting episode of Codename New 202. Hi, I'm your presenter, Shabu Are You? Well, today we're going to have a mixed bag. In this sense, we're going to do some comic book pickups at the end of the month, beginning of June, that I think fellow Gen Xers should pay a little particular attention to, and it might be worthwhile to add these the next time you visit your local comic shop or you want to buy these issues online. A lot of fun stuff. On top of that, we're going to do a little mini EGS unboxing. That's right. We're going to feature 2 issues that were signed and got graded. And they came back. And also we're going to give announcements of news considering the new slabs that are coming to EGS and pretty soon coming to you. These things are going to revolutionize the game. And really, with the news with CGC, this is going to make CGC shit in their pants. And basically why the comic book community needs to get behind these smaller grading companies to bring everybody on par to make sure that the book, not who grades it, is the main factor in grading and decision making. With that aside, I think that's a pretty good full slate that we have here. I'm also going to ask you guys what books I should send into EGS to get graded. Some really cool G.I. Joe books and other books that I want to feature when the new slabs do come out. So you're going to help me pick out at least 3 or 4 issues that I'm going to send to our good friend Tony at EGS to incorporate that new feature. So without further ado, let's start with this exciting Memorial Day weekend episode. And again, thank you to all the veterans and troops that have made so much sacrifice to protect our country. You guys know my story and working for the government, and I got to work alongside many great people in protecting our country. So to my colleagues, have a beautiful and blessed Memorial Day weekend, and to all the families, thank you for your sacrifice. So let's get started. Alrighty, since we got a lot of stuff to cover, let's dive right into it. And we're going to start with the EGS unboxing. So the first book we're going to highlight is very significant and really important to me. That is part 2 of the Larry Hama signed thank you to me for issue number 283. Now, regulars know that we call that during issue number 283, living legend Larry Hama unveiled a new G.I. Joe character. Essentially, a G.I. Joe character that looks and is me, essentially. You're talking about a person of a Muslim background, brown, serving his country, fighting evil, fighting to eliminate terrorism and the feeling that terrorism poses upon its victims. So this thing touched so close to home. Regulars can attest, I began openly weeping for the first time I have a G.I. Joe character that is me. So I wrote to Larry and Diana Davis over at IDW. And thanks to our good friend Walter, who was the middleman and the main person in getting these issues to me. I'm so grateful for someone doing this on my behalf. So along with the other variant, cover A and cover B, I got signed by Larry. And again, it's so meaningful that, it has my name, to Shabir, let me get the glare off, Larry Hama, and the date. So let's talk about what's going on with CGC. And even the fanboys are kind of up in arms with this latest news. Now, CGC has announced, because they say it's redundant, to include certain elements pertaining what's missing out of a book. For example, in Incredible Hulk number 282, there's a Marvel value stamp. Now, I showcased my PGX version where it highlights that the fact that that value stamp is not included, and that has an impact on getting the grade that is going to be put on the issue. Stuff like that, CGC is saying that there's no need to do that, that they're going to include it in the grader's notes for all members to be able to access. Again, so you have to be a member of CGC in order to access the grader's notes. That's number one. Number two, before I segue, watch the Bronze Age Nerd interview with EGS, because CGC has gone on record, the president saying that while they say that they're Overstreet compliant, now this is verbiage for an auditor to understand, they don't follow all of it. So what percentage of Overstreet guidelines does CGC follow? And they've gone on record saying that there's some elements that they abandon or don't incorporate during grading of a book. Well, with EGS, you do not have that problem. They are 100% Overstreet compliant. And what's even better is that they provide tangible grader's notes for the consumer. And this is supposed to come together. If you do want to sell your books, these are supposed to come as a collection piece. Now, some people say, oh, there's another thing to lose. Well, we're Gen X. We like tangible shit. And we want as much stuff that you could hold in our hand. Like, the same thing with cars. Like, I deal with cars a lot. You need proper documentation. Like, when you're getting a Ferrari or a BMW or any of those cars, proper documentation follows that car towards when you go to these auction houses like not Heritage, but Pebble Beach, and so like there's binders that showcase. If we're going to treat these books as a valid investment, then we do need to have a paper trail or some sort of trail to significantly showcase that. And again, the book is beautifully done. Look at this custom label. I'm probably the first to have a custom. If you could see, I'll pull up a picture, but you have Snake Eyes and Cobra Commander's head, and it seamlessly follows the cover layout of it as well. So again, it's like a piece of art, and I like that so much. You guys known from over the past few years how much I rave about how these books, the EGS books, get the most attention from even the casual person when they come into the retro room. They see that, they're like, wow, what is that? That is so cool. How do I do that with my books? So the number is next to it is, so what if it got a 7.5? And with that, let's find out why it got a 7.5. So it says here on the grader's notes, corner scuff top and bottom left front cover, spine stress lines front and back cover, stress line bottom back cover, scratch line bottom back cover. And when you look, you could actually see what he's talking about. Like, I see this spine stress here, so he's right. And that's what happens when you take a book to a convention and have people sign. I mean, it's going to get a little dings from here and there, and that's okay, because getting a personalized Larry Hama signed copy of G.I. Joe, this is something that beats everything for me. So that's the first issue. Now, real quick, when we get the new slabs, and I give you a little bit of news about that. So EGS has gotten the first inkling of the prototype slabs, and they've kind of, he wants everything to be perfect. So they're still out there, and about in a few more days, I've heard that the green light will go to mass produce these new slabs. So you could be seeing a game changer unfold and be a part of the revolution. When you combine CGC, PGS, CBCS like slabs with EGS's customized labels, you're talking about a game changer. And with all the bullshit going on with CGC, and I've highlighted as a educated former auditor, data analyst, I mean, I did this shit for a living for about 18 years. There has been a lot of red flags and danger signs into making CGC only, a viable thing. It needs to be changed, ladies and gentlemen. And even CGC fanboys need to acknowledge that. You know, I heard from this comic book investor, that kid, I think, you know, agree to disagree with what he says. I think he hasn't never ordered from EGS. And I think that the comments he made regarding it is, unless you've done the ordering, if you've been through the process, then you shouldn't talk, because, you know, it makes you look stupid. So unless he's actually ordered a book and been through that process, then he's not the person to provide analysis to the masses regarding a company, regardless. So the second book we're going to highlight is a big currently going on. It's crossover by new legend, modern comics guru, Donny Cates. And we know Donny Cates wrote the Venom, which was legendary. He's on Thor and now Hulk. So this was a side project that he started on. And this is another one of our sponsored, a Famous Faces and Funnies exclusive. So that's kind of cool that I get two good sponsors on one slab, or friends, I should say, and Famous Faces and Funnies. Make sure you check out their live online auctions for amazing deals on comic books, omnibus, action figures, cards, you know, like Magic and all that shit. I don't know much about it, but a lot of you guys have used them and been a part of those auctions and saved a lot of money. Remember, Florida is an untapped resource, because all these old folks that come down here bring juniors and little missies shit from way back, and when they downsize it, they don't know what the hell to do with it. So luckily, you know, a lot of them sell their stuff off to Famous Faces and then pass on that savings to you. So take advantage of that. So let's go back to this one. This was actually signed by Carl Moline, and Carl Moline was the cover artist. He's based in Florida as well, but he was the cover artist for issue #1 of Crossover. So again, it's just the fact that someone took the time to do this for me, to show how much they, you know, appreciate my friendship. And it has right there, for Shabir, Carl Malone. So like Maloney. So I just greatly appreciate that. And that's hanging up on the wall. But I like the colors. You got the shield of the main character, the Captain America knockoff here. I haven't really read this issue. It went straight to like grading, like a lot of people do. So I do have to read the issue to sound like I know what the hell I'm talking about. But I have no idea about these characters and stuff. I just was touched that, you know, it is something that's popular and that's signed. But again, the presentation looks beautiful. And we got a 9.6, which is shocking. And let's look at the notes for that. So the grader note says, slight corner scuff, top and bottom left front cover. Color rub on back cover. And now, again, that is to be expected. But you see what I'm talking about is going that extra mile for us. It's not all of, like, it's making themselves so the consumer, us as the fan base, appreciate all these little details for us. CGC does not do that. They're taking away that. And I think that's the big problem. And I'm going to say it for the zillionth time, we need as a community to support these smaller grading companies like a PGX, like an EGS, because we need to take control back from these corporations. And I think all the stuff that I've hinted at for the past 2 years, we're starting to see that in CGC, and it's dangerous. Now is the time to collectively act, because we want to make sure we pass this hobby down to our kids, to our grandkids, and as well as making it be an established form of investing, not like a side thing or a joke. And that's the thing, is you want to make this and what makes that, again, when you buy stocks, it doesn't matter where you're getting the shares from. It could be Ameritrade or through a financial advisor. You know, it's the fact that you have that share. You know, that's the most important thing, not who you purchase the share from, you know. So another food for thought. So those are two grading unboxings. And again, and news about EGS. We're going to send a few books to them and be one of the first to have an unboxing featuring the new slab. So we're going to pick out a few issues. You're going to help me by writing down in the comment which books I should send, and then we're going to do the unveil of that. So now we're going to segue into the books that I picked up that you should consider during this wonderful Memorial Day weekend. Alrighty, so the books that we're going to feature are going to be a little bit on the light side at the end of this month. Just, I had a lot in the beginning of the month, if you all can remember, but going towards the end, it's kind of light, and plus I'm going on a trip to Philadelphia on Thursday. But nonetheless, some cool shit. And of course, I don't just feature new books, I feature old school books as well. So these are just the books I picked up that I think you guys should take a note of. The first one is Amazing Spider-Man 238, the last Todd McFarlane Marvel endeavor before he splits and goes to Image and rewrites history. This is the second time I've gotten this book. I actually sold the other one, which was a 7.0. But again, another great copy. I couldn't pass up on the price. This is probably going to be in the same ballpark, maybe around a 7.5 or 8. But again, it's just a book that I'm going to hold on to for my personal collection. I've always loved how Todd was one of the first to do all of these, and it just highlights what made Todd McFarlane the icon that he is today. All of his tropes, as our good friend Chris Pierce from Comic Tropes attests to, that all of the tropes are in this one last issue that he did. The off-centered, the things, the colors, the contrast, the details. I just love this cover so much that it pained me into having to sell it the first time, and I did it to raise money for charity. But getting reacquainted with this book for the third time, this is the charm. This one's going to stay in the personal collection. But also, a lot of people have been specking on this as one of those books that are going to be significant 30 years down the road as well. So getting copies of these now and putting them away is really advantageous. You're going to thank me for it later. So Spider-Man 238. The next book, again, is making some headways in the Red Sonja #1. This is her, I think, third solo endeavor, like having her own title in a series. The one back, I do have the one graded. Let me point. All right, so again, this is her first solo series. I highlighted that earlier. Red Sonja is one of those titles you definitely should be looking at, because there's so much they could do with the character. And again, the whole Amazon this TV series, people have been a lot of news, but recently there's been confirmation that they do have the green light to go ahead with that Red Sonja series. So that has increased a lot of the Red Sonja spec. And this is another great, not very expensive pickup on a somewhat significant key issue. So Red Sonja #1 in her second solo endeavor, I think, is something that you should greatly pick up. And again, I just love the way this looks. Who did this cover? I remembered. It was somebody significant where I can't remember off the top of my head, but definitely a book to pick up as well. So let's change with the modern stuff. And you guys know how much I love Elvira. I mean, there's two good reasons to like Elvira, but this is her latest in Elvira Horrorland. This is issue #1. Of course, I always get the photo variants when it comes to Elvira, just to have a collection of her iconic pictures. And I've always loved, there's been a few in Mistress of the Dark, Shape of Elvira, Elvira versus Vincent Price. So this is going to be the latest continuation of that. And it's been a pleasant surprise. If you're not reading Elvira, it's one of those, it fully captures what comic book reading is all about. Doesn't matter what the monetary bullshit is. It's a fun escape from the way David Avalone, who's a good friend of the channel, and we had him on here doing a Q&A with us. Thank you, David. He's also hails from where Rutgers University is, so he lived in the same town East Brunswick that the college was. So it's kind of cool to have that connection with somebody. But again, this is a continuation of Elvira Meets Vincent Price by David Avallone, who's worked with Kevin Eastman and all these other great. He's one of those writers you definitely need to appreciate. But a fun read. So Elvira, Horrorland issue number 1, definitely a pickup. The next one we're just going to quickly mention because we're going to have a full episode devoted to each, and that is the third in the continued G.I. Joe comics Saturday Morning Adventures series, which is basically a Sunbow episode. And these have been major hits for all those 80s kids. Even if you aren't a diehard G.I. Joe, everyone came back from school, everyone's sat in front of the TV sets and watched Transformers and G.I. Joe back to back, Thundercats. So even if you're not a diehard G.I. Joe fan, this has been a hot sell and a wonderful surprise. Please check out those episodes when I cover this issue. And it's just been a delightful treat. You actually feel like you're sitting in front of your TV set back in the 80s watching a Sunbow episode. The writer and the illustrator did a fantastic job recapturing those wonderful, priceless childhood memories. So stay tuned for the upcoming episode recapping this, and if you haven't, watch the back ones to bring you up to speed. And of course, we segue into the current G.I. Joe Real American Hero series. So this is going to be part 2 of High Stakes. Now, again, follow me as we always recap each issues. We're getting towards 300, which will mark the end of IDW Hasbro relationship, and we're just focusing on the here and now than what's going to happen with the license beyond 300. But this is kind of cool because we're going to hear, and speaking of the Sunbow series, this issue is going to bring somebody back from the dead, and this I command is all I could say about that. So if you're not following the regular G.I. Joe runs since the Marvel runs, jump back on board. You're going to see Serpentor actually was killed, so he's dead just like Snake Eyes is. But Dr. Mindbender is working on a new concoction, and he's getting Genghis Khan's DNA. So a lot of things that he believes that he messed up with the original Serpentor, he's working on building Serpentor 2.0. So this is going to be interesting. The next one is The Amazing Spider-Man issue number 2, which is actually 896 in the whole Spider-Man. So this is the variant copy cover of this. I picked this one out of the original cover and the other cover. I don't know why, I just liked it. You know, Black Cat in a swing. I think this is a wonderful job, but Peter Parker is fucked up and in a mess. It's kind of like, it's interesting because Peter Parker's life is really bad. So how he's going to dig himself out of this hole is kind of interesting. We have John Romita Jr. drawing, so that's another reason why I got back into Amazing Spider-Man, because when it comes to drawing, John Romita as well as Mark Bagley are one of the two best that I think that draws Spider-Man in the modern era. So seeing his name attached to this is definitely one of the reasons. Story arc is a little interesting. I don't know, but again, it's only issue number 2 in this, so I'm sure something will arise. And the next one, actually the next one, I don't have it, but I ordered it. It's on its way. You know, in an episode or 2 ago, I talked about She-Hulk issues, and the one big one was the iconic issue number 40. So I have said that, you know, with prices going through the roof on that, I don't know why, but it's become a really sought after issue in the modern era. I guess, even though I don't get it, but still it's one of those issues that are in high demand. Well, thanks to a friend, I was able to get that particular issue at a really very reasonable price. So I could finally say that I have the complete keys of the She-Hulk. So putting that up there, you know, that just don't buy that FOMO, shop smart. That's why making connections, making friends, using this network pays off in the long run. Just getting things out there that you're interested, people will contact you if you're a good enough dude, and they'll help you out. And I was lucky, and thanks to Ruby Rockwell Comics for helping me acquire this issue. So definitely check out their ETS Ecstasy store for great deals as well. So that's where I was able to get She-Hulk number 40. So with that aside, the next book is actually a reprint of a modern day icon, and that is the first appearance of Gwen Stacy as Spider-Gwen. Now this is a reprint, her second reprint of it, but I wanted to get this because we have Kamala Khan from Miss Marvel. I mentioned Shuri of the Black Panther, Kate Bishop, all of these young Avengers, these new wave of characters that we didn't grow up with in the 80s and 90s. So I don't want to be that old guy like, oh, back in my day. I want to understand, explore these new characters to give them their proper due, and just explore and learn. So I was able to get the second print of this very important issue in modern comics, and I recommend you guys do that too. There's a lot of good value in finding books, their second, third, or even those Marvel value issues, what they're called, true believers. So don't be afraid of getting those books, because it's not the monetary you're in this hobby for, it's the fun that it provides, and the escape from paying bills, going to work, repairing your house, all that stuff. So it's able to do that, consider that mission accomplished, and it shouldn't matter the price and stuff like that. So definitely be on the lookout for stuff like that. And the last book we're going to showcase, again, I think I mentioned in the beginning of the month, I'm not sure, but Twig. And I found out that this one is a delight to read. Twig issue run from Image Comics, written by another modern guy in Scotty Young. So it's a fun, delightful adventure with beautifully drawn. I just think this is definitely a great pickup. So that concludes our pickups. Now we're going to segue into a few books I want you to help me select into submitting to EGS. All right, so for our next and last segment, it's going to be a little bit of fun, little audience participation. We're going to select probably about 2 or 3 books you guys pick on what I should submit to get the new custom labels and EGS slabs to incorporate. And since this is a G.I. Joe based YouTube channel for comics, let's pick out some of the few remaining issues I would like to get graded for G.I. Joe. So we're going to start with issue number 143. And boy, is this an eye-catching cover or what? We got Scarlet. Kind of like a little bit of Scarlet's backstory. I kind of like this issue as well. We have Scarlet, and you see she's quite the healthy, as I like to tell people. So I thought this would be one cover. And the next one is going to be actually one before that, issue number 142. And this is kind of the second issue with the Generation 2 G.I. Joe kind of crossover event with Megatron version 2. I kind of like this cover as well. We have Scarlet, Zarana, Cobra Commander, Dr. Biggles Jones is up here in the corner. So this is another issue I would like you guys to consider. The next one is going to be issue number 135, and this is again part 1 of Snake Eyes' name taking over the title over G.I. Joe, where G.I. Joe is small and Snake Eyes is huge. So I thought this was another issue. Again, this is actually a low print run for those that don't know. A lot of the issues from 130 to 155, you started getting a mixed bag of low print runs during that time. So this is definitely one of those. And the next one is going to be issue 140. Again, the G.I. Joe Transformers crossover. Pretty much that's what this next submission is going to be heavy on, is that what you guys picked, but that G2, because essentially that's the first appearance of Megatron in his version 2. So there is this, there is a significance in both Transformers and G.I. Joe. So I thought that was kind of important. And the next one is going to, well, actually the next two is issue number 94, A New Face for Snake Eyes. Believe it or not, I never got this issue graded. So the reason I'm going to get a mid-grade on this. This is probably, you're looking at a 7. So is it worthwhile to do that? Because I see a couple of spine ticks. The book itself looks beautiful, but again, those spine ticks, I know it's going to drive the price down for this. So that's another thing. But again, that should not deter a fan. Like, if you like the cover and if you like the book, then go ahead and get it submitted. What the hell? It looks, especially with that new customized label and slab, this is going to pop. And maybe this is a good case for why you should get those mid-grade books graded, just for the pure joy and the presentation value of it. And the last one is going to be issue number 37. Again, a low print run, Snake Eyes versus his Boo and Scarlet. So this is going to be, remember Scarlet was a double agent at this time, having joined Cobra, but really working for G.I. Joe. So again, those are the issues that I would like you guys to help me and pick your top 2 or 3. Let's go for 3 since there's quite a bit. Pick your top 3 issues out of those on what you think I should submit to EGS to get that new label. Anyway, this is Shabu Are You. Enjoy your Memorial Day weekend, and we'll come back with probably a comic recap of the Sunbow Saturday Morning Adventures Part 3. So this is Shabu Are You signing off.